Aloha, everyone. Welcome to Java, and thank you for joining me for Tuesday, January 2nd, 2024. So, today is the first trading day in the markets for the United States of 2024, so should be pretty interesting. We will be keeping our eye on the MMRI risk indicator, and the underlying of that is, of course, the relative strength of the dollar and the United States 10-year yield. So there was a spike in bond prices as things were kind of closing up and could be related to a couple of things. However, if they continue to rise, they're going to put pressure on the stock market. So not an awful lot at the moment. We are watching an increase in oil. That is mostly due to what is going on in the Red Sea. We'll go over that in a bit. But the current sentiment is slight bit of pressure. It's mixed and cautious, and more expecting individual stock movers today. So anything with larger news, earnings, things of that sort will be the outliers. Other than that, relatively muted, but not really to the positive direction. Looks like we may have more of a correction today. We'll see as they open. So for the calendar, we do have a few reports coming in, the ISM and JOLTS job openings. And then, as I was saying, we've got global bonds kind of starting a little bit muted as well. There was a spike in yields due to a couple of things of closing up the books. So moving forward into our stories for the economy, and this one is saying for investors, 2024, year of transition into new economic order. So they're still looking forward to those Fed rate cuts, basically the Fed pivot. And this one, I don't understand why they're just not openly admitting, because they don't want people to panic. But saying that the Eurozone economy likely entered a recession last year. So their activity contracted for 18 straight months. That's a year and a half of contraction. That is beyond the definition of a recession. So basically, it just means they're not admitting it. But anyway, Eurozone having a bit of difficulties. And they're talking mainly about, with this, they're alluding to the aluminum and metals industries. So with that, we've got private equity groups looking for new exit strategies as the cash is piling up. And that is because due to inflation, basically, their cash is losing value. So they have to find ways that are at least going to keep up with the rate of inflation. So, and they like to make money, so they're shooting for generally double inflation, which would be somewhere in the realm of 8 to 10% at the moment. So, another story, we've got Bitcoin. It's heading above the $45,000 level and kind of hovering there. We do still have the Bitcoin ETF launches are due on the 12th. So that's this week. And as I was saying yesterday, the launch might be a letdown in this story. Basically, could be a sell the news. That would be a temporary thing. But as this is saying, this kind of is getting to exactly what I was talking about. It could attract trillions of dollars over time. Because when this ETF is allowed in, even though there will be kind of a relief from it that will drop for a bit, this will allow pension funds, retirement accounts to basically invest in Bitcoin. So that's just huge sums of money, could push that price even higher going forward. So eventually I do think the price will go up, but when these ETFs are approved, Bitcoin could take a hit in that price. And with it, we'll take generally some of the other cryptocurrencies. Okay, so moving down, one thing that I did want to bring up yesterday, and one of the viewers brought this up, so thank you for this. Bank-owned insurance agencies. So for the bulk, I've got a big call on insurance companies for this coming year because of the things that have been going on. Now, banks were not allowed to sell insurance products for a very long time, and that was repealed. So now bank-owned insurance agencies, they're getting some big movement here. So this was because of the Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act, basically late 1990s. This is talking about the Supreme Court decision about that. For that passage, it did restrict banks back then. But now, since that has been repealed, banks now owning these insurance companies, thinking Berkshire Hathaway, there's a lot of there's just a ton of money in here. So we'll be watching insurance agencies moving forward. They are going to be soaking up basically a lot of these assets for pennies on the dollar when things make their correction. So I've got also, we've got another mortgage investor. So this is just beginning on the tidal wave. JER is filing for bankruptcy in their property firm crash. So this is commercial real estate. So there could be a larger follow-on with basically private real estate, but this right now is commercial real estate sector is beginning to fall. Okay, we've also got, as far as the business side, New York, as of the 1st, which was yesterday, raised their minimum wage. So this is going to pressure a lot of the smaller businesses. We saw this happen with McDonald's when they forced them to raise their minimum wage. They had to pass on that cost. They're not eating this cost. So one of two things, either they're going to pass on the cost of this increase or they're going to go out of business. They can't sell out. So we'll be watching this go across the board. And this is talking about kind of this pass on Main Street, meaning mid-small businesses. Time to prepare for the new minimum wage hikes. So now those minimum wage hikes are here. So this could create a bump in spending for a bit of time until some of these businesses start closing and laying off. So we will be having more unemployment this year. So updates on the BRICS nations. As we were talking about earlier, this is the backing to it. Oil prices rising. Iran put a warship in the Red Sea because the Houthis were attacking a Maersk container ship the other day. So the United States destroyed I believe it was attacked by 4 boats and 3 of them were sunk. So they did stop that, but on the back of that, Iran decided to send a warship. And we've also got China put in massive orders for crude. Basically, they're stockpiling. In general, when you see a move like this on a nation, it's in preparation for war. We already know more wars coming this year, probably in the Asian seas as well. So for Brazil, Brazil is an up and coming. They're starting to produce. They've got a lot of resources. We spoke about this before, but if you're new here, Brazil is basically up and coming nation. So talking about their unemployment rates falling, their labor market is becoming pretty strong. And as I said, they do have resources. And by becoming a BRICS nation, they've got their trade increasing because they've got the support of both China and Russia, as well as some of the surrounds. So, as of yesterday on the 1st, Iran also officially became a member of the BRICS nation. So, just to keep in mind, though, this is for trade. This is not for war. This is not like a NATO pact, but for trade. So now Iran has just strengthened themselves basically financially. And there are trade and currency wars going on. So in that aspect, they are strengthened. And this is the warship that they sent to the Red Sea. So got a couple of lava updates and some questions that I would like to ask. Get your comments from and see what you think. The first one is this. The United States Department has issued warnings not to travel to certain areas. And what is happening is we are seeing a tremendous increase in the hundreds of percent of American tourists that are being detained by either foreign governments or being abducted. And what has happened is basically the administration of the United States has shown that our citizens are valuable and the fact that we will negotiate with other countries or with terrorists or whoever it might be, and that Americans now have value. If you take them, you can make trades with them. So tourists have become a commodity. So State Department now issuing and expanding their travel warnings. So if you travel quite a bit, just keep an eye on that. I travel quite a bit, so just asking your opinion on that. What do you think of that? And then my second story that I would like to talk about. This is huge right now. Everybody's talking about how names on the Epstein list are supposed to be released. So the focus, for the most part, is about human trafficking and child trafficking. But what I'm posing the question, is that I believe there's something much larger going on. There's other stories going on. I don't know if you have heard of this. If you haven't, I would like to bring it to your attention, and I'll go into more detail on this at a different time. However, they're talking about gene drive. And what is gene drive? It is a method they have created that guarantees that a specific gene will be inherited. This program is very quiet. It was funded by Epstein. It's put on through Harvard. It's called the Program for Evolutionary Dynamics, and it has links to Wuhan. But more than that, why do I say this with him? Because there's much more going on at that island. There was a lot in relation to genetics and more stories coming out about this. So I want to get your comments about what you think about this list that is supposed to be released. I don't think that we're going to be seeing all of the high profile names. There's already appeals put out. I think that a lot will be redacted, so we're not going to see names in particular, but I do think there's much more going on to that. So with that, enough of the lava updates. I wish you all a green trading day. Just a wonderful day in general. If you would, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. And I appreciate you so much. Until I see you again, my friends, stay free.